And I'm here to now give away a really fun package to Terranea. We didn't give this away yet. So a 2-night Terranea package, 1 round of golf for 2. So let's do the drawing. Congratulations, Luis Rodriguez. You can pick that up at registration if you're still here. If not, we will send that to you. So congratulations. I'm excited. This is actually our last session of the day. I know Mitch tried to tell you that was our last session, but he was wrong. So we're going to bring out our consumer panel. We'll have 4 different generations represented here. And like we mentioned, you can also do your live Q&A. So definitely get your apps out for that. And without further ado, let's take a look at our next session.
CSP's Abbey Lewis hosts a vibrant discussion featuring a diverse consumer panel, each representing a different generation: Gen Z, Millennials, Gen X, and Baby Boomers. They'll dive deep into the hottest topics driving the convenience store industry, sharing invaluable insights into consumer trends, preferences, and behaviors. We encourage you to engage in real-time Q&A on the conference app during the session. Please welcome our moderator, VP of Content Strategy for CSP, Abbey Lewis.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I am actually literally so excited. This is the first time we have done a consumer panel at any of our convenience store conferences, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. I had an opportunity to get to know our generations this morning, and I think you're going to love getting to know them too. First of all, I know Carol mentioned it this morning, consumer research is expensive, it's time consuming, and this is your opportunity to ask a question for free. So please do use that app. We are excited to answer your questions. I have a ton prepared. I did take a quick look at some Technomic, our friends at Technomic. They have some great consumer research, and I took a quick look at some of that data this morning before popping up here. And I know which demographic, according to Technomic, are your core users. And according to Technomic, at least at 7-Eleven, 40.3% of their core users are millennials. I'm not so sure that's how it's going to shake out today, but why don't we figure that out together? Please join me in welcoming our Generations panel to the stage. Welcome. Again, just a heartfelt thanks to these folks for coming up here. It takes a lot of guts to come up and talk about convenience stores in front of a bunch of convenience store operators, and I'm just so thrilled they're up here with me today. So I want to set the table first and just let you get to know a little bit about our people. So Susie, why don't we start with you? Why don't you give us your name, your age, where you're from, and what you do every day?
Hi everyone, I'm Susie. I'm a native California girl. I'm a business owner, and I was born in 1964, so that makes me 60.
Great, welcome. All right, Kaisa, what about you?
Hi, good morning. My name is Kaisa, and I'm from 1978, so 46 years old. I live in Chicago, and I'm married and have 2 boys, 13 and 11, and I'm a school psychologist.
Gen X all the way, everybody. All right, Kevin, what about you?
My name's Kevin. I am 36 years old. I live and work between the Orange County and Los Angeles area. I work in film production and am a firearms instructor.
Wonderful. Welcome, Kevin. And Eleanor, what about you?
Hi, my name is Eleanor. I'm 14 years old, and I'm currently going into my freshman year of high school, and I live in Chicago.
I think it's a stretch to call Eleanor Gen Z. I would have said that she's Gen Alpha, but she wouldn't like that very much, so we're going to call her Gen Z today. Thanks so much for coming. I'm really grateful. Let's kick this off and just figure out what your last convenience store experience was. So get some thoughts around that. Susie, I know we chatted about that a little bit this morning. What was your last convenience store experience?
I was traveling and I had forgotten my toothbrush. So en route to going to one of our events, while I was out and about, we stopped at a convenience store and I was so happy they had a toothbrush.
What was the convenience store?
It had to be either Circle K or 7-Eleven. If I can remember right.
And they had a toothbrush.
They had a toothbrush.
Note to self. All right, Kaisa, what about you? What was your last C-store experience?
So I was leaving work, and at the school that I work near, they have a convenience store attached to a gas station, and they advertise no Chicago taxes on their gas. And so it's a little bit cheaper, and I travel a little bit farther, so I usually fill up there, and they have a convenience store attached, and I always go in for a sparkling water type drink.
Wonderful. Kevin, what about you?
I don't recall the name of the convenience store, but I remember it clearly being a Chevron. I had bought a little cup of gum because I felt bad for just using the restroom. I don't know if it's fact or just based on past experiences, but for whatever reason, I felt like Chevron bathrooms tend to be cleaner. And so that was what I gravitated towards, and bought gum on my way out.
I'm glad you brought up bathrooms, Kevin, because we're going to talk a little bit more about that later, too.
All right.
All right, Eleanor, what was your last convenience store experience?
My last convenience store experience was in Harbor Springs, Michigan, and we were on our way to the beach, and we picked up some Frazzles on the way.
Yeah. What else? What else did you get at that convenience store?
Oh, chicken.
Chicken. What did they have at this convenience store, Eleanor, that they don't usually have at other stores?
Socks. They have, this might be weird, but they have like little lighter holders you can like connect to like a keychain or like your pants and you.
You thought those were cool.
Yeah.
All right. So Susie, can you tell us a little bit about when you do go to a convenience store, what is your primary reason for visiting that store? What are you looking for?
So it's usually when I'm road tripping, and it's my most favorite part of the road trip. So we get to stop, get gas, go in the convenience store. So I go in and I'll look for a good hydrating water. I'll look for some healthy things. I'm loving that I'm seeing more fruit in there, protein. But then I gotta get the Cornets and the candy bars and the Slim Jims and the Cheetos, because the good stuff cancels out the bad stuff, right? The good snacks, the bad snacks. So that's how it works for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's probably a little different for you too, because you have kids.
Right.
So when you all go to the convenience store, what are you after?
So we're looking for a variety of options. Usually, for me, a sparkling drink, usually a banana, trail mix. For my kids, it's something different. It's chicken strips, it's chips, a variety of different ones, usually a soda for a treat. And then I also look in our local area for places that I feel safe just sending my kid in, and he can just buy stuff on his own. I can take care of the gas. Very efficient.
We were talking at breakfast earlier about how I have kids as well. And the convenience store is almost their first independent solo shopping trip in many ways. Can you talk a little bit more about this? I thought you had some great insights.
Sure. So in my neighborhood in Chicago, we're always looking for places for a second set of eyes on our kids. We can send our kids out in the neighborhood. They can gain more independence. And we found storekeepers are that second set of eyes. And if you go in, if you kind of feel unsure, just run into the store and so will know you. It's just nice to have that familiar relationship and be able to chat with the same people that you trust.
Yeah, so even when you're in a really big city, you can trust that your village is still.
Yeah.
And it's at that convenience store, which I think is lovely. Mm-hmm. All right, Kevin, what are you after when your job requires some travel, and what are you looking for?
Right. We're spending a lot of time on the road, and most of the time, I hate saying this, but you're just trying to stay awake. And so a lot of the times, I started out looking just directly for energy drinks, anything to just keep me up. But as you do this job longer and longer, you also want to try to be more health conscious. So I started to look more towards healthier snacks. And I feel like I kind of went full circle. I went the 4-hour energy drink route, the Monster route, the Red Bull route, and then the Celsius route, and then now I've just looked for nuts and fruit. And that has been where I'm kind of at now. I can't do coffee because that ends up keeping me up too long. So yeah, I think we concluded it's mainly just the sugar that's probably keeping me up, and then the crash. Yeah.
I think it's so interesting because I've been writing about convenience stores for a long time now, and I'm not so sure we would have said fruit was a reason that we would go to a convenience store looking for a snack. I think that's really interesting. I will tell you, when I ask Eleanor why she goes to a convenience store, it's not for fruit, is it?
No.
What are you looking for at a convenience store?
Slurpees and candy and chips and basically just junk food.
So when you go to the convenience store, who do you go with?
My friends, but if it's on like a road trip, it's usually with my family.
Yeah. And what's the last thing you bought at a convenience store?
A Slurpee.
Yeah, okay, that tracks. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about location. We've talked about how we're heavy users of convenience stores and gas stations when we're on road trips. But how important is the location just in your everyday life to the convenience store you decide to visit? Susie, what do you think?
So where I live, there's convenience stores everywhere, all over the place. I can be driving down, there's one on this side of the street and there's one on that side of the street. So I guess the one that's on the side of the street where I'm going, like literally. But there's a couple favorite ones in my neighborhood that I really like that are, you know, the cleaner ones, the ones with the brighter lighting, my neighborhood ones.
Yeah, That's an interesting point. And we had a great discussion this morning about cleanliness and perception of the convenience stores that you visit. Kevin, you had a really good comment about what you're looking for in a convenience store when you pull up that makes it feel welcoming or unwelcoming.
Right. The big thing for me was when I pull up is what the store has on their windows. Not so much of what advertising they have, what content they have, but more of can I see inside. As I mentioned, I work and live between here and LA. Most of my work is in LA. And as I've slowly come to discover, the experience of a convenience store in Los Angeles is very different from some other places. Sadly to say, sometimes convenience stores are sort of the last resort for me. And so when I am pulling up to a place, in some areas that I'm not familiar with, and at weird hours of the night, I'm trying to assess of like, okay, one, how clean is it inside, but also I kind of want to get a look of who else is in there. And if I pull up to somewhere with all the advertisements, it makes it hard to see. Lighting is also a big thing for me. For whatever reason, my mind goes right to also seeing the floor, the ground outside of the doors. What pops into my head a lot right now is like old gum that's stuck on the curb and in front. So those I have pulled away from gas stations where I pulled up, and I was like, or not convenience stores, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna go take a look at the one, you know, elsewhere down the road. So
cleanliness matters to you.
Yeah.
Eleanor, how much does it matter to you and your friends when you walk up, or do you just go to the same ones all the time because they're the ones you know and you feel safe? Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, I usually think about how cleanly the bathrooms may be if I'm on a road trip, but there's usually just one convenience store that I usually go to. It's pretty close to my high school and where I live, so it's very convenient to walk to. So, and I'd say it's pretty cleanly for the most part.
Yeah, and you feel safe when you go in?
Yeah.
Okay. We do have a good question here from the app about loyalty programs. Do any of you use loyalty programs at convenience stores specifically, or outside the convenience store space, and why? What do you think, Kaisa? Do you use any of those?
Yeah, I use loyalty programs connected to my local grocery store, the Starbucks app. You gain those stars and then you get a free bag of coffee. So I use the loyalty programs to the stores that I frequent most.
Okay, great. And do you use them because they give you better deals? on the things you're buying at the store, or for the benefits they provide outside? That's, say, the free cup of coffee that you earn with points.
Yeah, they track what I buy, so then they are giving me deals on what I normally buy.
Okay, that's great. What about you, Kevin? Do you use loyalty apps?
I do. I use, unfortunately, I haven't used any involving convenience stores, but like AMC, like
Yeah.
movie theater type.
Yeah.
Because for me, working in film, that's a natural part of things. So I know that there's a set path of guarantee of return, I guess, because I know I'm going to go to the movies. I know I'm going to be getting something out of it as well. So in my mind, it makes a lot of sense. Thinking about it in the context of a convenience store, other than, for me, since so much of it is driving, my next connection is gas and therefore Chevron. So I haven't focused on the store, but I focused on that. I know I'm always going to get gas. I usually end up looking for a Chevron, and I end up buying from that store. And then so whether it be, Gatorades or fruit or Celsius, if there was kind of like a set path that I knew that I could see where my return was, I think I would be open to it.
Okay. Susie, what about you? Because my perception is that loyalty apps, particularly on the phone, are kind of a generational thing. As our resident boomer, do you use them too?
I'm starting to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
As I get, I do have a couple of them that I use, but I'm noticing a lot now that a lot of even, fast food places are doing them, and there's some killer deals on those apps for that. So I'm starting to.
Yeah.
I haven't, in the recent past really used them a lot, but I'm looking into them now.
And it's primarily because you can save money that you're looking into.
Absolutely, yeah.
Eleanor, do you even know what a loyalty program is?
Yeah.
You do? All right. Is there any that pop into your mind?
Well, I do use it on Starbucks because I'm a teenager and I don't make money. So I don't really want to rely on my parents to just give me money. I mean, I occasionally make like $20 from like babysitting, but having the loyalty programs do really help.
Yeah, saving money. That's great. While we're on the subject of tech, there's been a lot said at this conference about self-checkout. I think it's funny when people say that some folks use self-checkout because they don't want to talk to anybody, and I think that's funny because that's how I am. And I had a little chuckle with Kevin backstage when it was brought up again today. Kevin, do you use self-checkout? And if you do use it, why?
I use it mainly just to see if the line is shorter. Yeah. And I know we had talked about it, someone had mentioned as well, depending on how many items I have. I don't mind chatting. Most places I've been to, I feel like they do a good job of keeping it like pretty minimal, but I have ran into the occasion where it's like, I don't want to go into it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say I do. I kind of hop back and forth.
Yeah. Okay, so what about you?
I would say that if I have 10 items or less, then I'm going to do self-checkout because it's efficient.
Okay. Susie, what do you think?
Same. I bounce back and forth. If I'm in a hurry and I've got a few things, I'm gonna self-checkout. But if not, I'm gonna wait in line and look at the magazines.
Yeah.
Just kind of chill and enjoy someone else checking me out. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that too. Eleanor, you probably don't even really think about it.
I'm a very social person and I love to talk, but I find it hard to talk about something with a stranger I don't know while I'm just sitting there like waiting for them to like scan my items. Mm-hmm. And I also just like going to self-checkout because I like to scan the things.
The thing. Yeah, I agree. So you are all mentioning that, conversational aspect that you can have when you're not doing self-checkout, when you're actually speaking to the folks that are working at the operation that you happen to be at. I want to talk a little bit about customer service and how important that is to you when you visit a store. Susie, let's start with you. Is there anything that you really rely on from the clerks and the folks that are working in the store? Anything that would totally turn you off?
No, I really appreciate a professional person, that they know what they're doing, they're friendly, polite. That's all good. What bothers me is if maybe they're doing my checkout, but they're talking to their associate and they're not even paying attention to me or what's happening in front of them. So then I'm like nervous they're going to make a mistake or something. That's the only thing that I don't like, because I'm a businesswoman. I know what it's like to give good customer service to your customers. I deal in retail. So I want to be treated the way I treat my customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Kaisa, what about you?
Yeah, I think I could tag along with that. I really appreciate a professionalism that's focused on me when I'm the customer, so I know they're paying attention to what I'm asking for, rather than talking on the phone and being distracted by other things. I really value that.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned before too how important it is when your kids go into the store in their neighborhood that they kind of see the same face over and over.
Right, I like that. I like being able to create those relationships with the people who work in the stores.
Yeah, that's great. Kevin, what about you?
Yeah, I struggle between the two, because a part of me, usually when I'm in the store, I know what I want. I go directly to it. I'm not really looking to talking to anyone, but I have been in the scenario before too, where I was living abroad briefly, and culturally, no one talks to you in that cultural difference. There is no small talk. There's kind of a scripted greeting, but that's very much done half-heartedly, and then I understand that's just the context of the culture. But when I didn't have just the basic small talk for those 6 months, it felt very empty, where I was like, what? Yeah. Well, I know I'm just a customer, but hello, can I just get a hey, how are you? It's weird once you don't have it. But when I am back here again, and in the States, you sometimes do avoid it when it is available to you. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. I
that
go back
is
and forth.
Really insightful, though, especially considering your travels. Eleanor, do you, like Kaisa's kids, or like Kaisa, kind of appreciate seeing the same person at your local store over and over? Do you want to talk to them? I know you mentioned that you get a little shy, or you don't care. You just want them to be nice and...
Well, if I'm going to my 7-Eleven, I've been there so much that they know my face and they're like, oh, hi Ellie. They're like, hi, how are you? And I'm like, I'm good. And then that's pretty much it.
They know your name though.
Yeah.
That's great. That's really cool. We have a question from the app, which is really going to be interesting, I think, for these folks up here to consider. How does social media influence what you buy, if at all? Now, first of all, raising hands, who here has TikTok? All right, who here has Instagram? Who has Facebook? Okay, all right. Eleanor, do you see on TikTok cool convenience store items that you're like, I gotta have that?
Yeah, if it's a new version, I know Swedish Fish came out with Swedish Fish and Friends, so it's different sea animals. So I've seen 7-Eleven ads on my phone of I don't know, slushies and candy, just ads, and then I'm like, oh, I should go to 7-Eleven.
Yeah. What about you, Kevin, since you're the other TikTok user? I know that there's crazy things that influencers do, and they go into a store and just...
Sure. I don't know if I could see this happening in the States just based on alcohol laws and stuff, but the one thing that I totally thought was super cool was I was living in Taiwan for a little bit, and there was one influencer who, because you can eat and drink inside those convenience stores, and then you can buy alcohol, and she was doing just in convenience store cocktails, where she's like, you get this drink, you get this little liquor, you mix it with this, you get ice.
Is there a bar?
No, but they sell alcohol, and they sell the juice and everything that all the tools, all the things you need to make. Yeah. And I thought that was so cool, because it's friends of mine were like, we'll just go to 7-Eleven, we'll make our own little cocktails, and then we sit there, and then it was very cost effective, and it was very casual, and most of the 7-Elevens there had bathrooms, so it was just a very different setting.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would work here, but that was the big impact thing that stayed in my mind.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Kaisa, do you see products from convenience stores on your Instagram feed?
No, but I see them in my everyday with my students.
Yes, I was going to say you
So I
have a
get-
unique perspective.
Yes, I get a lot of exposure to the most popular products from my students.
Yeah. Can you think, I know this is just kind of off the cuff, but what are they really super into right now?
For a long time, you saw little kids with orange, reddish tint to the bottoms, like tips of their fingers from the hot chips.
Oh, yeah.
Those are very popular.
In Chicago, those are all the rage.
Yes.
Eleanor knows. Yeah, she's smiling.
Yeah.
What about you, Susie? Do you ever see anything like that? I imagine your feed looks a lot like mine.
Yeah, not on Instagram.
Yeah.
No, not a lot of convenience store stuff on Instagram. So
If you did, would it make
if
you
I
wanna
did,
go?
heck yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have another question here around food service. It will be interesting actually to hear from our panelists what they would consider food service. And if you all would choose a convenience store over a QSR and why. So Eleanor, I think this is a good time. We had a conversation this morning about road trips with your family and when you stop for food along the way. Would you prefer to stop at a convenience store for what you normally get, or would you rather go to like a McDonald's or a Subway?
It really depends on what convenience store I'm going to, because I know some convenience stores can be smaller than the others. Like I remember one time I went on a road trip and we stopped at a Buc-ee's. So that has a lot of big food and like just they have more food than smaller ones, but I would usually like to stop at a restaurant or something to get food that I know instead of walking in and trying to search.
What about you, Kevin?
I do not eat at convenience stores or like a meal, mainly just because, as I've been quickly discovering today, convenience stores in Southern California are very different from everywhere else. A few months ago, I did a film on the East Coast, and I was blown away to see that they had like a sandwich, shop station.
You remember which store you were at?
It was the Wawa.
Wawa.
Yes.
I knew he was.
And I was blown away. I was like, why do we not have this in California? And that's where we picked up crew coffee. That's where we picked up some of the crew meals, and it blew my mind that was like when my producer said that, like, oh yeah, we're gonna stop by Wawa and it's a convenience store. I'm like, what? Yeah, no. Like, what?
Okay.
Like, is it safe? And then it ended up being fine. It was a great experience.
Yeah.
And so that was the one time that I did, and then living abroad as well. 7-Eleven, there's a big spread of all kinds of meals that you can just take in microwave, or they microwave for you in store. And but yeah, so it's just interesting the differences.
Yeah. What about you, Casey? You've got kids. So would you rather go to McDonald's, or maybe you're driving north through Wisconsin, you stop at a Quick Trip?
Right, so it's kind of a combination, I think. Mostly when we have a good experience at a specific location, we're more likely to make sure that when we're taking that road trip again, we know that place has clean bathrooms, they have fresher foods, then we're gonna make a point to stop there.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
that's how we make our decisions.
Okay. Susie, what about you? I know that you're after the snacks, the road snacks, but now you're also from this area.
I'm in the Disney Resort area, so there's lots going on there.
Yeah.
If I'm on a road trip or even locally at home, if I'm going to have a meal, I'm not going to have it at a convenience store.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious now. I think I'm going to start looking around in there more often to see what there is good to eat.
We've converted you?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm going to check it out more now. Yeah.
All right, let's see. If you had an opportunity to order something from a convenience store on Uber Eats, say you really wanted a cup of coffee and a sandwich from a convenience store, would you order, or do you ever typically order on these third-party delivery apps first? Susie, do you use DoorDash? Or?
Very rarely.
Okay.
Very rarely.
Do you use them?
Very rarely.
Okay.
Well, we live in Chicago and there's
Right.
so many things to walk to.
Yeah.
What about you, Kevin? You ever use any of those apps?
I do. Yep. And the question was if I would order.
Yeah, first if you use them at all, because I think that's going to be a big differentiator generationally. But then would you use them, say you really needed some Swedish fish and a Slurpee?
I could see myself using it, probably mainly due to work, though, it could be very, only because in my line of work, you get some strange requests where it's very, very specific, where it's just, I only want the, blueberry flavored yerba mate. And then sometimes going to a grocery store, there's not one nearby, or it takes too long to get there. So I could see myself using that, yes. I'm already a foot in the door of using, for other things. So yeah.
The fees don't scare you off?
Not too much so far. Some of them, yes. To be honest, I've started to stop using some of the food delivery services, but I do. They are very, very convenient.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Eleanor, I know that you're a relatively heavy user of Uber Eats and the McDonald's app. Would you, if you could, order a Slurpee from 7-Eleven, despite the fees? Would you use it?
Well, is it with my own money or is it with my parents?
Probably your own. Or would you just walk there?
I would probably just bike there.
Yeah, okay. Well, really quick, we have 15 seconds left. I just want to ask you all your favorite convenience store, and then we'll head out. Susie, what's yours?
7-Eleven.
Okay. Please.
I think I would say 7-Eleven as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Right nearby.
Sorry.
All right, Eleanor's going to be an outlier. What's your favorite C-store?
7-Eleven.
All right.
Or Thornton.
Well, I have some folks for you all to meet afterwards. I think they'd like to chat with you a little bit about that. This has been so fun, a real pleasure. Thank you all for being here on this last day. It's been a blast, and I can't wait to see you again next year. Thanks.
All right, thank you for another fantastic event and year. We will see you back here at Terranea next year in August. Safe travels, everyone. Bye.